Hello everybody, it's Craig, the real estate investor. Today we're going to be talking about real estate mistakes by the beginners. I know that, many of you are beginning real estate investors. And the thing is, you don't want to just jump right into it without any kind of knowledge or preparation. Real estate's a game. I'm pretty good at games. It's a money game. It's a big money game. I have friends that are making, 6 figures every year from real estate. Some of them are investors, some of them are realtors. Some of them are loan brokers. But the thing is that the only way you're going to make that kind of money, you got to learn the game. Let's say, you try to take up poker. You say, I want to make money as a poker player. Okay. But you think that, I could go down in Las Vegas, sit at one of these shark tables, and, as a complete beginner? There's no way, man. I'd get killed. But anyway, let's talk about, how I got started in real estate. As I explained before, my friend had attended a Tom Vu real estate seminar. Now, Tom Vu, he was kind of flashy. He was a guy from Vietnam. He made a lot of money. And then he started, going into the jets, the boats with the girls, and, appearing on these late night commercials. The guy was really it was kind of almost comical to see Tom Vu. But anyway, let me show you some really good books that I got started with in real estate. Now this one, I think, was the very first one I got started with. No Money Down with Robert Allen. And this one is timeless. Many of the techniques here, they still work today. Here's a good one. Here's a very good one. This one is by Ron LeGrand. This guy he's old now, but he's been around for the last 30 years. And, you can watch him take his courses. He's in Florida. And this one is called Quick Turn Real Estate Millionaire. And this one, I highly recommend because it's got some good strategies. And then the last one that I want to recommend to you guys is by Mark Haraldson. This one is called The Courage to Be Rich. And, Mark Haraldson, this guy is still around. A lot of the old timers like Robert Allen, Carlton Sheets, Mark Haraldson, Russ Whitney, some of these guys are still around, but they're getting old. And many of them have retired from the game. How do I get started? One thing you can do, hang out with real estate people. You are who you hang out with. If you're hanging out with a bunch of losers, you too may end up being a loser. But I like to hang out with successful people. Now the problem in my family is that everybody, my mom, my dad, my sister, they all kind of went into traditional 9-to-5 jobs. And they were very good at that. But I found out a long time ago, right out of college, that this stuff, that, traditional 9-to-5 wasn't for me. And if you have that kind of entrepreneurial personality, well, then real estate may be for you. You know, if you like going into business, it's kind of like running your own business. There are real estate clubs out there. There are seminars on YouTube. There are courses, there are tapes you can buy on eBay. Once you join one of these clubs, you can hang around and make friends with other investors, and you'll learn a lot by hanging around with successful people. You can get on TV and watch Flip This House with Dan Merrill. Excellent show. Excellent. And then above all, you want to listen to any real estate programs and start thinking about real estate a little bit. Now, the first thing I got to teach you guys is real estate is not, it's not only about money. You're probably saying, hey, there's a $500,000 house for sale. I don't have $500,000. There's no way I'm going to be able to buy that thing. Okay, that's true, Even I don't have $500,000 lying around. Boom, I'd go buy it, okay? But the thing you gotta acquire in real estate is not money, it's knowledge. Knowledge is going to give me strategies and ideas about how I can go buy that $500,000 house. And if I can't buy it, how can I make money somehow from the deal, even if I'm not going to buy that house? Can I still make money? You got to realize that a lot of realtors out there in my area, and I'm in California, are making 2% or 3% realtor's commission from the transaction of that house. Now what's 3% of 500,000? That's 15,000 for filling out some forms. How's that for making maybe over $1,000 per hour? Hey, not bad, huh? Better than $10 an hour. Now, but let's say you do want to go out and purchase a $300,000 property, but you don't have $300,000. Okay. Now, if you really want to buy that property, you gotta learn to borrow money. That's the number one way you acquire real estate: borrowing. The other thing, and learning to borrow is something that we can cover in another video, but today I'm also going to focus on real estate terminology, because this is also important to know what the heck is this guy talking about. Now, we're going to go over some of the basic terms today. One of them is the down payment. Once in a while, you're gonna, buy real estate with cash, but it's rare because, with real estate prices, escalating up in, the 200, 300, 400,000, you just don't have that kind of cash lying around. So what are you going to do? The way you borrow from a bank is they want to see 10%, 3%, or 20% down payment. And that is, let's say you have a $100,000 or $300,000 property, they want 10% down. That means you have to put $30,000 down on a $300,000 property and $10,000 down on a $100,000 property. Earnest money. Whenever you visit a realtor, they're going to say, well, what kind of earnest money, that's the same as a deposit, can you come up with? And that deposit usually has to be paid within 2 weeks of signing the contract. What is escrow? Well, that has nothing to do with being a bird, okay? You got to open escrow. Escrow is the process of purchasing a property done through the title company. What are closing costs? Closing costs are the money you got to pay, usually a few $1,000 at the very end just before you buy the property. Seller's agent. Well, a lot of times when you buy property, you have two agents. You have the buyer's agent who works for you, then you have the seller's agent who's working for the seller. And generally speaking, both sides have to get paid their commission equal to about 5 or 6%, which is paid by the seller. In other words, you could hire a buyer's agent and not pay him a cent. So I would recommend to a lot of you that are trying to buy your first property, yeah, by all means contact a buyer's agent. It's not going to cost you anything. So yes, that's, Einstein had an old saying. He said, if you get stuck in the same rut, the definition of insanity is repeating the same old thing over and over again and expecting a different result. A lot of us get into this cycle of go to work, sleep, go home, collect the paycheck, go to work, sleep, maybe party on the weekends, and you kind of get stuck in this rut headed toward a dead end. That's where you're headed, a dead end. How do you get out of that? You got to change things up. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You can't be thinking, oh, I'm going to do the same old thing every day and expect to go anywhere. It ain't going to happen, Anyway, the thing that you guys got to remember is this. If you want to be successful, if you want to go somewhere in business, yes, I can. Now, you very rarely, seldom ever see a really successful guy like Donald Trump or a millionaire guy, they all have the positive mental attitude, PMA. Yes, I can. And you might be surprised that, all this positive thinking, it's going to get you pumped up so that you have now the motivation to succeed and become financially independent. Now let's try to understand the reason why many beginners fail. What's the mistake they're making? And I see this in some of the people that I've seen fail on YouTube trying to flip a property. How come it's not working? Well, there's a couple of reasons, and one of the reasons is the real estate cycle. Now, what do I mean by the real estate cycle? Well, the first thing you got to understand, folks, is that although real estate goes up, generally speaking, it goes up over time. Since 50 years ago, it's been going up, okay? But the thing you got to understand is that it doesn't go up in a straight line. It kind of goes up like this. It goes up in kind of a wavy line, okay? What do I mean by a wavy line. Well, this is what I mean by a wavy line, okay? Now, let's kind of look at our little chart here. You know. Now you notice that what is this line here? This represents the trend line for real estate 30 years ago, beginning 1990, and then going up to all the way up to 2022. That means that if you bought real estate 30 years ago, it would probably triple in value. In other words, a property you bought 30 years ago for $100,000 would probably be worth $300,000 today, okay? But now let's look at the red line. This red line is not straight. It keeps going up and then it keeps gyrating up and down, okay? Well, this line actually indicates what real estate actually does, and this is the price of real estate. Notice that in 1990, this was a great time to sell real estate because it was at its peak. And then 2007, we had a great catastrophe where the real estate market suddenly plummeted, and that would be, notice that it behaves a lot like a stock. When the stock goes up, you sell it, make all that money, and when the stock starts to go down, well, anyway, folks, it looks like we're out of time. So long, and thanks for watching.